Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Family by Design. And this is a great topic Liz and I get into, just talking about debt. Is debt okay? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it biblical? Is it unbiblical? We're going to get into some of this stuff. It's really, I believe, is going to help you. You could be at a place to where this might challenge you a little bit. We've been there before. But just listen, be blessed, and I believe this is going to really help you.
Okay, so I have a question for you. We're going to just unpackage it, and it should be a simple...
Yes, I think you're beautiful, and yes, I think you're awesome.
Well, thank you. I agree.
No, I don't deserve you.
Definitely.
Those along the lines of your questions?
No, not
right.
Anything like what I was going to ask you.
Well, you're welcome anyways.
Yeah, thanks. So this is good. Side nugget. Tell your wife nice things because she likes to hear these things. Anyways.
Your earrings are nice. Your eyes are great.
Now that just sounds like sarcastic, so.
I'm serious.
Okay.
Okay, your earrings, I don't care about those, but you have beautiful eyes.
Thank you. So, answer me this question. Is debt okay? Is debt good? Should we have debt?
Okay, the simple answer to that question is no. Debt is not good and debt is not okay. No, we should not have debt. But
when is debt okay?
We live in a world that we can utilize debt. So it depends on the type of debt, in my opinion. And this is really so just to put this out there, we are not financial advisors. So
no, and this is our opinion.
This is our opinion. We try to, we give our opinion more on this podcast than any other platform that we do.
But we can.
Because it's mostly based off of our life experience.
Yes.
Yeah. But obviously it's biblical too. And so what does the Bible say about debt? The Bible says, oh man, nothing except just to love him. But financially, I don't believe we're supposed to be the lender and not the borrower.
That's right.
So I've met people that are like, well, debt's evil. I was like, well, then why would God say be the lender? I mean, why would he tell you to do something that's evil?
Touche.
So this is the way that I'll say it the most clear is I think consumer debt is not good.
I think you're going to have to unpackage what consumer debt is.
It's debt that doesn't work towards you building wealth.
Okay.
That's probably not the actual definition of consumer debt. But when I talk about this, I'm talking about things you can't afford, but you can afford to live without.
So now we're going to start talking into the reasons why we're getting debt.
Yeah. If you need a lawnmower for your grass and you really want that big zero turn that costs $8,000, but you can push mow your grass, you probably should go for the $400 push mower until you can afford it. But most people will just be like, oh, gotta have it. Now, if you got 5, 6, 7 acres, but if you can't afford a mower for it, you probably shouldn't buy 5, 6, 7 acres. You have to mow. So you got to use common sense with these things. But so sometimes you need to go with the push mower, right?
Right.
You're going to tell us what consumer debt is right now.
So it's money borrowed to buy goods or services that are meant for everyday living rather than to produce an income.
So I was pretty close in what I said. I talked about to where it's, it's things that I forget how I said it now, but things you can live without, you don't need to live. So, and then it's not going to help you build wealth.
Right. Credit cards, auto loans, personal loans, student loans, and store financing. Yeah. So these are things so we're buying. We're not against credit cards if you know how to.
Now, Dave Ramsey is 100% against credit cards all the time.
Right. Because most of the time people, they just put it, people
don't pay attention enough to be able to handle it.
They don't have a budget that they're working off of, and they just start buying things and not paying attention, and the bill comes in, they're like, oh, I can't pay this.
Right.
Because not only did I put it on the credit card, I also spent all the other money that I would have used to pay off their credit card. And so this is exactly what our kids, I don't know if you remember, we had a credit card limit on our on our card, and they were like, "Oh, you can just spend that amount of money." It was
like an $18,000 limit.
Yeah.
Now I think it's like $30,000.
Yeah. So, anyways, they were like, "Oh, you have $18,000.
Yeah,
you
till
can
the first
use
of the month, and then I have to pay it back."
And so we had then, we took it as a teaching opportunity to say, okay, that's what we can put on there, but we are responsible to pay that back.
And if not, you're going to suffer like 25% interest rates.
It's terrible.
So so let's go back to the original question. Okay. Is that okay? Or is that good? Consumer debt, as you just described it, is really not good.
No.
It's not good to buy things that you can't afford. And people use credit cards. We use credit cards very, very wise. It's very convenient for us because we're able to see all those transactions on our statement. We got an app for it. You could do that with your bank account too. It's kind of the same thing. But then we rack up all these air miles for us, but we pay it off every single month. We 100%. Pay it off 100%. And we've done that for many, many, many years.
And if we cannot afford it, we don't
buy it. We work off of a budget, not how much credit we have in our credit card.
Come on.
I mean, we have a $30,000 limit. I didn't ask for that. They gave it to me. And, sometimes, on most months, we end up putting somewhere between like $3,000 and $5,000, just depending on the month. I mean, it's expensive to live. We put pretty much everything we can put on there, we put on there. And so with 4 kids and groceries and all that stuff. But then we have times where if we've got capital purchases that are not normal monthly expenses, then we'll end up maybe putting those on there. But we have the money for it. Correct. We're not spending money we don't have. Okay, so consumer debt is not a good thing. Cars are included in there. And I basically agree with that I don't think having a car payment is really a great idea. However, I'll give you an example where I think it was wisdom for us at the moment. We've bought plenty of cars that were not good decisions, but we bought some that were. And one was when I started my business, I needed a truck and I had to drive quite a bit to run my business. I couldn't have a jalopy. I probably could have, come up with a couple $1,000s to buy a jalopy. I needed one I could depend on. And with what I was doing, I couldn't roll up to customers' homes because I was working in very expensive, wealthy homes. I couldn't pull up in there with the bumper hanging off and rust all over and that, whatever. I needed to have something that was nice. Well, I didn't have enough money for it, so I went and took out a loan. And I'm just giving my opinion, right? We're just giving our opinion about this. People can make their own decisions. And I made a lot of money on that vehicle. To me, that vehicle served a purpose to make money. I'm okay with that. That wasn't the best, and it was nice when it was paid off. And we've had several different times where we've had car payments because, hey, we needed something, and you got to have wheels to get around. And so we've had times when we spent more money than we should, and then we've had times when we've just like, this will get us by, and it'll be fine, and we won't have problems. And so everybody's got to weigh those decisions out for themselves. But as a rule, I agree that car payments are not a good thing. And so I'm not saying I would never have one again, but I'm pretty much set that I'll never have a car payment again.
You told me you will never have a car payment again.
I'm also not going to be so legalistic about it. But I mean, the thing is that it comes down to being able to be good at saving money. Because if you can save money, you can take that, nowadays, like an average car payment's over $500 a month. So if you can take $500 a month and you can save it for 5 years and get by with what you got, then you can go and pay cash for something and not have interest. Because anytime you take out a loan, you pay interest.
Right.
The interest is money that should be in your pocket but goes into the bank's pocket.
Correct.
Simply put. So we've all been there. There's no condemnation, but that's the best scenario. Where I think debt is a good thing is whenever you're using it to leverage to make more money. So you have to live somewhere. Okay. So you're going to either pay rent or you're going to pay mortgage. If you can get into a house and pay mortgage, you're putting money into something that you're going to own. If you're paying rent, you're putting money into something that somebody else is going to own. We have rented. We will never rent again, but we have rented and we have owned, and we've done those different things. We much prefer to own.
Yes.
We've made some bad decisions in buying houses, but then mostly we've made really good decisions in buying houses. and we always land on our feet with it. And so, but if you can't afford to buy something, then you rent, you save money, get a down payment, and then you can buy something. But you have to pay somewhere to live every month. So if you're going to pay $1,000 in rent, let's say, it's better that you're putting $1,000 into something, even though, especially up front in your mortgage, most of that is interest, very little is principal. At least some of the principal is going towards you, right?
Right.
And then, in renting, if you're paying $1,000 in rent versus $1,000 in mortgage, 100% of that rent is going towards your landlord's mortgage or in their pocket if they have their property paid off. So I really believe. And so then, for example, we have a rental property that we didn't have the money to buy. We bought a fourplex, and it was, I think we paid $183,000 for it. And we had to put a down payment. They did a finance for us. We didn't actually have to go through the bank, but they financed it for us at a very reasonable interest rate. And we make money on it every month. Not a lot, but a little bit. And then our tenants are paying down our mortgage. So we took out debt, but we leveraged that debt to make us money. And that's smart because people be like, I've met some people like, never have any debt. Well, if we took that approach, we wouldn't be building wealth with that piece of property. So I believe that the best place you can be at in your life is not to have any debt. But if you draw such a rigid line, you can end up missing out on opportunities to where if you were willing to take out some debt, then you could have made some money. But I also believe most people don't take a rigid enough line, and they end up buying things that they can live without. Or if they're like, man, I need a new set of wheels. Instead of going in and they're like, hey, we need a new minivan. Instead of going and looking at a really good quality minivan, let's just say that has 75,000 miles on it, but was taken care of and is in great shape, and they can afford that, they're like, we need a brand new minivan. So instead of spending $20,000, now they're spending $40,000. To me, that's probably not the best decision. If you can afford it, that's between you and the Lord. I don't condemn people for that.
The question is in affording something is that if that thing were to, especially with a car, I heard it said like this, if that could be driven off a cliff and it not hurt you, then you can afford it.
Then you can afford it. Yeah, because so here's the way, and people need to know this. This is the way car companies and mortgage companies, they have this thing set up this way. They know what people can, quote, afford monthly, even if they can't afford to purchase it. People only pretty much look, here's the number one reason why people stay in debt and don't ever get out of debt, because they only look at what they can produce, what they can afford, not produce, but what they can afford monthly and not what something costs. People will go in. They do this. People do this all the time. This is why if you go to a car dealership and you go look to buy a car, they'll say, well, how much you looking to be at monthly?
Right.
And anytime I've ever bought a car, I won't answer that. I'll say, to me, it's about what I'm paying for the vehicle that I'm buying. If I don't get a good deal on the vehicle that I'm buying, I'm not going to buy it. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, if I have to take out a payment, if I have to take out a loan on it, the payment does matter to me. Right. But what matters more is what am I paying for that vehicle that I'm buying?
Right.
Because you could go in, they'll sell you a car at sticker price. They're fine with that.
Right.
And as long as you can afford it, then, well, good deal. I got my car. You just made a terrible decision because you just bought something that you could afford monthly, but you didn't care about whether you got a good deal on it. And you really didn't care about whether you could actually afford the thing anyways.
Right.
And so I'm not condemning people, but listen, if you're having trouble paying your bills, don't go take out $1,000 car loan or an $800 or a $700 or a $600 or a $500 or a $400. Get a low amount. Get something to get you by until you. This is kind of bold and brash, and I'm not trying to be rude, but you have to learn how to save money.
Right.
Most people don't know how to save money. We didn't know how to save money, and we kind of figured out. I've always been pretty decent at saving money, but we've gotten even better at it. But we have X number of dollars every month that goes from one account to another account that saving is basically delayed spending.
Right.
But you need to have money that you can set aside that when you need it, you're able to do it.
Right.
We had to put a new transmission in our van.
And thankfully,
that wasn't
had the
fun.
Cash.
That was like over $5,000.
Not what I wanted to spend my money on.
No, I know. It was disappointing. But guess what? We put the van in the shop. We got a new transmission. We pulled it out and we continued driving.
Right.
And it literally did not affect our lifestyle
Day-to-day
at all.
living,
It didn't affect it at all. I didn't have to go beg people for money. I didn't have to borrow money from anybody. It just made my bank account and made me cry a little bit when I looked at like there's $5,000 less in there because that's stinking transmission. So, but it is what it is. That's life. That's how it goes. That's how things happen. So is debt bad? In general, yes, I believe that debt is bad. But I also think that there's going to be a place for leveraging that debt. And I think it's smart if you can buy a home, buy smart, buy right, make sure you're doing it right. But if you can buy something versus renting it, I think you should. Now, when you buy a house, then you're responsible for all the stuff, right?
And you have to have a plan for that.
Yeah, you have to have a plan for it.
Because things then break.
Things break.
And that's just part of...
Appliances go bad, doors break, blah, 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 all that.
And so just having a plan. So it's not about getting like, again, this is a tricky place with homes too, is that like, you're like, oh, I could afford this payment, but it's going to max me out.
You got to be careful with that.
And that's going to cause strain because then if something does break, now I can't afford to get it fixed. And so, a good kind of, maybe not a rule of thumb, but like something is like, if you can afford like a, $1,200 a month house payment, maybe you should find something that's $800, in that bracket, so that then you have this $400 a month cush that you can begin to save. And same with the car. Like, of course, the thing is that our flesh is never, it never is satisfied.
Right.
And that's where we get in trouble. And then we begin to justify the lusting things that we have.
Yeah.
And we'll say, well, I worked really hard. I deserve this. I've earned it. La, la, la. But like, again, if you're having to justify that to yourself, then you probably shouldn't have it.
Yeah.
Because then it has you instead of you having it. And like, then you do things based on emotion. And that's where we get in trouble. And I remember like us having this conversation before, is that when we would make purchases, there's so much emotion. I want it. I deserve it. It's nice. It's the shiny thing. It makes me look good. It makes me feel good. Those kind of things. Instead of saying like, is this a good decision? Is this a good decision? Can I afford it? What is this going to do long term for me?
Yep.
And take emotion out of it and just use sound judgment.
People, especially America, we are so addicted to shiny things.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody likes nice things. And I'm the same way, especially when it comes to cars. I mean, I had to cut some things off of me about vehicles, which is why, it hurt us from time to time. And now like my car is 10 going on 11 years old. Yours is 9 going on 10 years old. And it's fine. It's fine. You don't have to have a new vehicle. If you want one and it's right, and even if you can't afford it and you do it, I mean, I'm going to, hey, great, you got a new car. It's fun. But, having the new car smell and the new car feel and stuff, it's like, what is that really worth to you? Because now you have just committed the next 5, 6, 7 years to paying $4, $5, $6, $7, $800 a month, whatever it is. You have just committed all of that money to that, to ride around in style. If you can afford it and you want to do it, go for it. We're talking about cars here more than probably what we intended to, but I'm going to tell you this, cars are the biggest waste of money.
Yeah.
You got to have them. But when you drive a new car off the lot, if that car costs $50,000 and that's what you paid for it, as soon as you drive it off the lot, it is now worth $40,000. You just lost $10,000 on that thing.
Right.
And even if you buy one, that's a great deal. We bought your minivan. We paid, I forget what we paid, like $16,000 for it. It had like 80,000 miles on it. Grandma owned it. And if we'd known the transmission was going to go out, 60,000 miles later, then we would have not bought that. But, sometimes you don't know and that happens. But, we bought that vehicle. I forgot where I was going with that, but we bought that vehicle and we could have done a lot more. We could have afforded a lot more, not out of pocket or anything, but we could have afforded a lot more, even like with the payment higher or something. But we didn't need to. Well,
actually, we had
We did have one that was nicer, and I'm like, and I bought good, and so I was able to sell it, and it didn't really hurt us too bad when I sold it. But we didn't need it.
Right.
We didn't need all of that extra vehicle, and so did we want it? Yeah, but it wasn't helping us at the moment.
Right.
Our whole goal financially. Here's what we're going to say this, and then we're going to kind of get off of this because it's going to speak to, is debt okay? Here is our whole goal financially. It's to obviously to take care of our day-to-day needs. You have to do that. So that comes from the money that you make. But the money that you make, the money that comes in, what you do with that money will determine what your future looks like.
Right.
If you don't save, you're going to find yourself in a pickle because you don't have some delayed spending. So you have to save money. But if you don't invest, you're also not going to build wealth. You just won't build wealth. And that I think part of investing could be purchasing a home. That could be part of like what it looks like to invest, but you have to have a way for your money to work for you instead of you just working for your money.
Right.
But you have to, the first rule of thumb for wealth building is you must eliminate debt. Actually, that's the second rule. The first rule is don't take on any more debt. The second rule is eliminate debt.
Okay, so the first rule is
of wealth building is don't add any new debt. If you got out of debt and like you really want that thing that you just can't afford, but you really want it because I can afford it monthly, if you go and do that, you have just robbed money from yourself from either being able to invest that money or save that money. You've just taken it from your future.
Right.
And so you have to quit obtaining new debt. Listen, if you're in a pickle and you got to do something with the car or whatever, there's no condemnation. Do what you got to do. But just remember that the first rule of thumb for wealth building is don't obtain any new debt. And then the second rule is eliminate the debt that you have.
That's right.
And so,
which means you're going to have to sacrifice now so that you'll have later.
That's right.
And that's what we don't like to do. We don't like to sacrifice now because we have a consumer.
America is driven on consumer mentality, consumerism, 100%. And, you know, like it's fine to have things.
You could make money on people's consumerism.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of part of a lot of what drives our society financially. There's a lot of it there. And as long as the heart's not wrong behind it, it's fine to have nice things. We're building a house right now. We are not building the smallest, cheapest home. I mean, it's not huge or anything, but we're putting things in it we like. That's consumerism, if you want to say that. But everybody's involved in it. Otherwise, you'd live in a stick hut in the woods, not even with a metal roof, but with a grass roof.
No thanks.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how far do you stretch this thing? But you have to make sure you're building wealth. You're not staying underneath the debt. And so is debt good? Is it okay? No. But if you need to utilize it, then utilize it and don't be condemned. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Family by Design. I pray that you were blessed as you listen to the word of the Lord for your life today. I want to encourage you to go on and leave us a review and a 5-star rating. If this ministry is blessing you, go to our website at www.wartmen.org. There you can find more resources, and you can also consider partnering with this ministry. If you like what we're doing, we just pray that you would at least join us in prayer and consider supporting us financially as we take the gospel deep into the hearts of people. Gospel preached, hearts awakened, and nations reformed.